Have you ever noticed that the loudest person in the room is rarely the most powerful? The one who constantly announces their plans, broadcasts their achievements, and fills every silence with self-promotion, they are often the first to be ignored, the first to be resented, and the first to fall. Meanwhile, the person who sits quietly in the corner, who listens more than they speak, who moves without announcement, that person commands a different kind of respect. Their power is not given by others. It is earned through mystery, through competence, through the deliberate choice to stay invisible until the moment when visibility matters most. Today, we are going to explore a counterintuitive strategy that is quietly spreading among high achievers in America: strategic invisibility. This is not about hiding or being shy. It is about choosing when to be seen, when to speak, and when to let your results speak for themselves. By the end of this three-part guide, you will understand why quiet ambition is often more effective than loud hustle, why sharing less can make you more influential, and how to harness the power of observation to outmaneuver everyone around you. Before we begin, comment below. Do you feel pressured to constantly promote yourself and your work? I read every answer. Let us start with the first principle: hidden mastery. In a culture that worships social media, personal branding, and constant self-promotion, the idea of keeping your goals and progress private sounds almost heretical. Everyone tells you to post your wins, share your journey, and let the world see your hustle. But there's a hidden cost to this constant visibility. When you announce your goals, you trigger a psychological phenomenon called social reality. Your brain gets a premature dopamine hit from the announcement, as if you have already achieved the goal. Studies show that people who publicly declare their intentions are less likely to follow through because the sense of accomplishment comes too early. Worse, you invite the eye of envy. Not everyone wants you to succeed. When you broadcast your plans, you give potential rivals information they can use against you. You also create external pressure. Now people are watching, waiting for you to fail. That pressure can be motivating for some, but for many, it becomes a source of anxiety that leads to burnout or abandonment. The strategy of hidden mastery flips this script. You keep your goals private. You share your progress only with a trusted few or with no one at all. You work in the shadows, building your skills, your network, your projects, without the noise of external validation. When you finally reveal what you have built, it appears as if from nowhere. This creates an aura of effortless competence. People wonder, how did they do that? The mystery adds to your power. This is not deception, it is strategic discretion. Consider the most successful inventors, executives, and artists throughout history. Many of them worked in obscurity for years before their breakthrough. They did not post daily updates. They did not seek attention. They focused on the work. When the work was ready, they presented it, and the world marveled. That's hidden mastery. Apply this to your own life. Choose one goal you are currently pursuing. Stop talking about it. Don't post about it. Don't tell your coworkers. Don't seek approval. Just work. At the end of 30 days, notice how much more you have accomplished without the weight of external expectation. Comment below, what is one goal you will stop talking about and start working on silently? The second principle is the psychology of mystery. Human beings are naturally drawn to what they do not fully understand. When you share everything about yourself, your plans, your struggles, your next move, you become predictable. Predictability breeds familiarity. Familiarity in excess breeds contempt. On the other hand, when you share less, you create a mystery premium. People become curious about you. They fill in the gaps with their own positive assumptions. They value your words more because they are rare. They pay more attention when you speak because they don't know what you will say. This is why leaders who are reserved often command more respect than those who are always chatting. The quiet leader's words carry weight because they are not wasted. The executive who rarely speaks, but when they do, speaks with precision and impact, that executive is listened to. The colleague who is always talking quickly becomes background noise. Practice strategic disclosure. In meetings, share your opinion only when you have something unique to add. Resist the urge to fill silence with trivial comments. Let others wonder what you're thinking. That wondering is the seed of respect. Another aspect of mystery is keeping your personal life separate from your professional persona. In an age of oversharing, boundaries have become a form of power. When your coworkers don't know about your weekend drama, your financial struggles, or your relationship issues, they can't use that information against you. They also can't use it to form unconscious biases. You are judged solely on your work. That's a competitive advantage. Keep your personal life private, not because you have something to hide, but because you have nothing to prove. Comment below, have you ever regretted oversharing at work? What happened? The third principle is mastering the observation gap. This is one of the most underrated skills in professional and social life. In any group, there are two types of people, the talkers and the listeners. The talkers are busy performing, trying to impress, to dominate, to prove their worth. The listeners are gathering intelligence. They are watching body language, noting who defers to whom, identifying hidden alliances, detecting insecurities, and understanding what each person truly values. This is the observation gap. The listener has a massive competitive advantage because they know the playing field before they act. Imagine a negotiation. The talker walks in and immediately states their position, their demands, their deadlines. They have revealed their hand. The listener, by contrast, asks questions. What is your main concern? What would an ideal outcome look like for you? What constraints are you working under? They gather information. They identify the other party's true needs and their flexibility. When it's time to propose a solution, the listener can craft an offer that meets both parties' interests, while the talker is left reacting. The listener wins.
In meetings, practice being the observer. For the first half of any meeting, do not speak. Take notes. Watch who interrupts whom. Notice who is ignored and who is deferred to. See who is anxious and who is calm. This is not spying, it is situational awareness. When you finally speak, you will speak from a position of knowledge. Your comments will cut through the noise because they will be informed by everything that has already been said and unsaid. This principle extends to social situations as well. At a party or networking event, resist the urge to talk about yourself. Ask questions. Listen. People will remember you as a fascinating conversationalist, even though you said little. Why? Because you made them feel heard. That is the power of the observation gap. Comment below, what is one thing you have learned by staying quiet in a meeting and watching instead of talking? The fourth principle is protecting your mental energy. Constant social interaction, over-explaining, and defending your choices are exhausting. This is a major contributor to burnout, especially in high-pressure American work culture. Strategic invisibility means setting boundaries around your time, your attention, and your emotional resources. You choose which battles to fight. You choose which people to allow into your inner circle. You choose when to engage and when to withdraw. One practical application is the energy economy. Before any interaction, ask yourself, does this person or situation deserve my energy? If the answer is no, you disengage politely. You do not need to win every argument. You do not need to correct every misconception. You do not need to attend every meeting. Your energy is a finite resource. Invest it where it will yield the highest return. This is not rudeness. It is strategic resource allocation. Another aspect is reducing the number of decisions you make each day. Decision fatigue is real. The more trivial choices you make, the less capacity you have for important ones. Simplify your life. Wear a uniform. Eat the same breakfast. Automate your finances. By reducing decision noise, you preserve mental energy for the moments that matter. Also, learn to say no without explanation. Most people over-explain when they decline an invitation or a request. They offer excuses, apologies, and justifications. This drains energy and invites negotiation. A simple, "I cannot make it," or "that does not work for me," is sufficient. You do not owe anyone a detailed explanation of your priorities. Protect your energy fiercely. Comment below, what is one boundary you need to set to protect your mental energy? We have covered the foundations of strategic invisibility, hidden mastery, the psychology of mystery, the observation gap, and protecting your mental energy. In the next segment, we will dive into winning without conflict, inspired by ancient wisdom, and show you how to achieve your objectives without creating enemies, how to move quietly through corporate and social hierarchies, and how to build a reputation that precedes you without you having to say a word. You will also learn the art of the strategic reveal, when to break your silence for maximum impact. That story continues in the next response. Comment below which of these principles resonates most with you so far. I read every answer. Stay tuned. The power of strategic invisibility and quiet ambition. Part 2. Welcome back. In the first part of this series, we explored the foundations of strategic invisibility, hidden mastery, the psychology of mystery, the observation gap, and protecting your mental energy. Now we move into the most powerful application of these principles, winning without conflict. This is the art of achieving your objectives without creating enemies, without triggering resistance, and without exhausting yourself in battles that do not matter. It is inspired by ancient wisdom, from Sun Tzu's Art of War to the Stoic philosophers, but adapted for the modern professional world. Let me show you how the quietest person in the room can become the most influential. The principle of winning without conflict is based on a simple observation. Most conflicts are avoidable. They arise from ego, from misunderstanding, from perceived threats. When you move quietly, you do not trigger other people's insecurities. They do not see you as a rival because they do not see you at all. You're under their radar. While they are busy competing with the loud, obvious threats, you are quietly advancing your own agenda. By the time they notice you, it's too late. You have won. Consider the corporate world. Who gets promoted faster? The person who loudly announces their ambition, angling for every opportunity, stepping on toes? Or the person who does excellent work, builds relationships quietly, and lets their results speak? Often it's the latter. The loud striver creates enemies. They trigger resentment. Their colleagues may sabotage them. The quiet worker is seen as a team player, a reliable asset. When a promotion opens, no one feels threatened by them. In fact, people advocate for them because they have made no enemies. This is winning without conflict. Let me give you a real-world example. Two managers were competing for the same director position. One, let's call him Mark, was vocal about his desire for the role. He told everyone about his plans, his qualifications, his vision. He subtly undermined his competitor. He made sure his achievements were visible. The other, Sarah, said nothing. She focused on her work. She helped her team succeed. She volunteered for difficult projects but did not broadcast her contributions. When the promotion decision was made, the CEO chose Sarah. Why? Because the CEO had heard from multiple people how valuable Sarah was. No one had spoken against her. Mark had created resentment. Several colleagues quietly shared concerns about his leadership style. Mark had triggered the very resistance he sought to overcome. Sarah had won without conflict. The strategy of moving quietly also applies to negotiations. In any negotiation, the person who reveals their position first is at a disadvantage. The quiet negotiator asks questions, gathers information, and lets the other side speak first. They learn the other side's constraints, desires, and bottom line. Then they craft an offer that meets their own needs while appearing to meet the other side's needs. They do not argue. They do not threaten. They simply present a solution that is hard to refuse. This is winning without conflict.
Imagine you are negotiating a salary increase. Most people walk in and state a number. That is a conflict move. The quiet negotiator says, "I enjoy working here. I want to continue contributing. Can you help me understand how salary decisions are made?" They listen, they learn about budget cycles, performance metrics, and the manager's constraints. Then they present their case in terms of value to the company, not personal need. They might say, "Based on market data, the average for this role is X. I have exceeded targets in 3 areas. I would like to discuss aligning my compensation with my contributions." This is not a demand, it is an invitation. The manager feels less defensive. The negotiation is more likely to succeed. Another key aspect of quiet ambition is the strategic reveal. This is the art of breaking your silence at the most impactful moment. You have been working quietly, observing, gathering strength. Then, when the time is right, you reveal your progress, your solution, your achievement. The impact is magnified because it comes as a surprise. People are impressed not only by what you have done, but by the fact that you did it without fanfare. This creates a perception of effortless competence. You appear almost superhuman. Consider a product launch. Most companies announce their plans early, build hype, and then struggle to deliver. The quiet company works in stealth mode. They develop the product, test it, refine it, then when it is ready, they announce it and launch immediately. The market is caught off guard. Competitors have no time to respond. Customers are excited by the sudden availability. This is the strategic reveal. Apple has mastered this with their product launches. They say nothing until the product is ready, then they unveil it in a carefully choreographed event. The mystery builds anticipation. The reveal creates impact. You can apply the strategic reveal to your career. Do not announce your job search. Do not broadcast your side project. Work on it quietly. Build it. Then, when you have something to show, a finished project, a job offer, a new skill, reveal it at the right moment. The element of surprise amplifies your accomplishment. Now, let us address a common fear. If I'm invisible, will I be overlooked? This is a valid concern. The key is selective visibility. You are not invisible all the time. You are invisible strategically. You disappear when it is advantageous to observe, to conserve energy, to avoid conflict. You reappear when visibility serves your goals. This is the rhythm of quiet ambition. How do you know when to be visible? When you have something of value to contribute. When your input can change the direction of a conversation. When your work is complete and ready for presentation. When you need to advocate for yourself in a performance review. In those moments, you step into the light, but you do not stay there longer than necessary. You say what needs to be said, show what needs to be shown, and then you step back. This selective visibility creates an aura of competence. People see you as someone who speaks only when it matters. They listen more carefully when you do speak. Another aspect of winning without conflict is learning to let others take credit when it serves you. This is counterintuitive. Most people fight for credit. But the strategically invisible person sometimes lets a colleague or boss take credit for their work. Why? Because that colleague or boss becomes indebted to you. They become your advocate. They speak well of you when you are not in the room. Over time, that advocacy is worth more than the immediate credit. You win a long-term ally instead of a short-term trophy. I recall a story about a junior analyst who developed a breakthrough model. His senior manager presented it to the board as if it were his own. The analyst said nothing. The manager was promoted. A year later, when a director position opened, the manager recommended the analyst. Why? Because he felt a sense of obligation. He also knew that the analyst was loyal and discreet. The analyst got the job. He had lost the battle for credit, but won the war for career advancement. Of course, there are limits. If someone habitually steals credit, you need to address it. But strategically letting go of a single battle can win you a longer campaign. Let us also discuss the importance of reputation. When you are strategically invisible, your reputation is built by others, not by yourself. You do not need to brag. You simply ensure that your work is seen by the right people. You build relationships with trusted colleagues who will speak for you. You document your achievements privately, so when it is time for a performance review, you have a ready resource. You can present your case without exaggeration because the evidence is there. This is quiet ambition in action. Now, let us talk about social settings. In networking events, the loudest people are often trying to sell themselves. They hand out business cards, recite their elevator pitch, and move on. The quietly ambitious person does something different. They ask questions. They listen. They find out what the other person needs. They offer help without expecting immediate return. They build a genuine connection.
When a need arises later, they are remembered as the person who listened, not the person who pitched. That is lasting influence. Consider a study of successful networkers. The most successful were not the ones who talked the most. They were the ones who asked the most questions. They showed curiosity. They made the other person feel interesting. As a result, they remembered them fondly. This is the observation gap applied to networking. Another key principle of quiet ambition is the avoidance of unnecessary confrontation. In many workplaces, people waste energy on petty conflicts. They argue over email, they gossip about colleagues, they defend their territory. The strategically invisible person refuses to engage. They do not respond to provocation. They do not retaliate. They do not gossip. By refusing to play the game, they rise above it. Their reputation remains untarnished. They conserve energy for what matters.